Good morning, children. Today we will have a different session. We already started the endocrine glands, hypothalamus, pituitary and pineal gland we studied. During revision time, I will tell you about all the glands once again. Endocrine glands, as you know, they together with the nervous system, endocrine system, helps in overall control and coordination of different organs in the human body. Okay, today we will start with thyroid gland. Thyroid gland, children, I hope you can see this image and all. Thyroid gland, it is located in the neck region. It is located in the neck region. It is connected with the trachea or windpipe. It is connected with our trachea or windpipe. It is a butterfly shaped gland located below our larynx or voice box, and it is attached to the trachea or windpipe. And this thyroid gland is very important in the metabolism of our body, and thyroid gland secretes two important hormones. The first hormone secreted is thyroxine. The first hormone secreted is thyroxine. So, the hormone secreted by the thyroid glands, you will see the first hormone secreted is thyroxine, and one more hormone is there that is secreted by the thyroid gland. This is called calcitonin. So, two hormones are there, thyroxine and calcitonin. So, calcitonin and thyroxine, two hormones are there. This calcitonin I will write once again for you. Calcitonin is the second hormone secreted by the thyroid gland. So, these two hormones are very important in the functioning of our body. Thyroxine, we will see what are the functions of the thyroxine. This thyroxine hormone is very important for controlling the metabolism of fats, proteins and carbohydrates in our body. So, whatever we are actually, the nutrients, the different nutrients, carbohydrates we eat as well as fats we are taking, and then proteins are there. So, the overall metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins and the fats are done with the help of this thyroxine hormone. So, thyroxine hormone that help in the metabolism of this all carbohydrates as well as these fats, carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism as well as this protein metabolism, so that it helps to provide the best balance for growth. Only suppose you are taking this in a protein rich food, but only if the metabolism, digestion, everything this goes on properly in a balanced way, that can be this absorbed and into our body, that will be utilized in our body also. Okay, assimilation or utilization takes place properly. So that metabolism of all these nutrients is very, very important. That is done with the help of the thyroxine hormone. Thyroxine controls the metabolism of fats, carbohydrates and proteins in our body so as to provide the best balance for growth. That is the function of this thyroxine hormone. Now, we will see the function of this calcitonin hormone. You have to understand, children, the calcium level in the blood that is maintained with the help of this. So, you have to listen very carefully, children. The calcium level in our blood, it is maintained with the help of the calcitonin. Usually this calcium, when it is low, it will be this calcium compounds are broken down and it is released into the blood. But the calcitonin, what does it do is, it reduces the calcium level in the blood. How does it do is, there are certain cells called osteoclasts present in the bone. So, actually these things you need not study for your exam. I am just telling you only how does this calcitonin maintains the blood calcium level to normal. It reduces the calcium level in the blood. So, there are certain cells called osteoclasts, which breaks down the calcium compounds in the bone, and this calcium is secreted into our this blood, and this function is inhibited by this calcitonin. And also calcitonin inhibits this reabsorption of the calcium in the renal tubule or nephron. Nephron, we have seen one of the functions of the nephron is reabsorption of these salts into the blood. So these two actions are done with the help of the calcitonin hormone, and as a result calcium level in the blood is reduced. If it is this high, calcium level is, if it is high, it is actually reduced with the help of this calcitonin hormone. So what you have to understand about this calcitonin hormone is calcitonin reduces the level of the calcium in the blood. That only point you have to keep in mind. That only will be this there for the 10th standard. And the thyroxine hormone, it controls the metabolism of fats, carbohydrate and protein. That's why it is very crucial in the functioning of our body. We will see the case of thyroxine hormone secreted by the thyroid gland. You must understand, children, in the case of this thyroxine hormone, for the production of this thyroxine hormone by the thyroid gland, a particular mineral is required. This is what is iodine. Iodine is required for the production of the thyroxine hormone by the thyroid gland. So for the production of thyroxine hormone by the thyroid gland, what is required? This iodine is required. So here, children, you must understand, for the production of the thyroxine hormone by the thyroid gland, iodine is required. Suppose the food we take, it is deficient in these iodine compounds. Okay, if the food we take does not contain enough this iodine, what happens, children? There will be iodine deficiency in our body. Whenever iodine is deficient in our body, less thyroxine will be produced in our body. And this, whenever thyroxine production is less, what is happening, children? This thyroxine production, when it is less thyroxine, whenever it is produced, what happens is the thyroid glands, they get enlarged. You know, children, one pair of thyroid glands are there, two thyroid glands are there, they become enlarged. There will be enlargement of the thyroid gland, and this enlargement we can notice by a swelling. There will be a visible swelling in the neck region, and this condition, this disease, we will call it as the goiter. So you must understand, children, whenever there is less intake of iodine through our food, there will be less secretion of this thyroxine or less production of the thyroxine in our body by the thyroid gland. Whenever thyroxine production is less, what happens, children? There will be enlargement of the thyroid gland, and there will be the visible symptom is there will be a swelling in the neck region, and this condition we will call it as the goiter. This condition we will call it as the goiter. And this goiter, you know, children, how can you prevent goiter? Goiter can be prevented by taking iodine rich foods. Iodine rich food, we will see what are the food materials rich in iodine. That means you have to take a lot of this fish, especially small fish, and seafoods, other seafoods also, and the iodized salt. Iodized salt is very, very important. It contains potassium iodide, etc. that provides the enough iodine required for the production of the thyroxine hormone by the thyroid gland. And also you have to take leafy vegetables also. Leafy vegetables, seafoods as well as fish. All this contain enough iodine, and this iodine help in the production of enough thyroxine by the thyroid gland, so that we can prevent goiter. So here, children, this goiter, usually it is not very common in people who live in coastal areas, because they used to take a lot of this seafood, especially fish and all. Children, small fish, sardine and all, that small fishes are very resources of this iodine. And government has actually this instructed the salt manufacturing companies to produce iodized salt, because the iodized salt that provides enough iodine for the production of this thyroxine hormone. Thyroxine hormone, why is it very important? Because for the metabolism of carbohydrate, these fats and proteins, thyroxine is very important. And here children, then the thyroxine, it controls the metabolism of carbohydrate, fat and protein, and provides the best balance for growth. Okay, that is the case of the thyroxine hormone produced by the thyroid gland. Now you have to understand, children, this is very important. The board exam, this time also they asked some questions. They gave comprehension questions based on this thyroid gland. The location of the thyroid gland, that was the first question. Location, thyroid gland is located in the trachea or windpipe, attached to the trachea or windpipe, below the larynx or voice box. That is answer. And thyroid gland, the hormone secreted thyroxine, and the deficiency of this iodine in our diet can lead to deficiency of this thyroxine hormone, that in turn can result the enlarged thyroid gland, swelling in the neck region. What is the disease called? That is called goiter. And another key point you have to remember, children, and this thyroxine hormone very important. Suppose the all hormones, children, they are produced in minute quantities or traces only, but their over secretion as well as under secretion, that can result in the abnormalities in our body. So in the case of the thyroxine hormone also, it is the same. Suppose the thyroxine hormone, due to many reasons, sometimes thyroxine hormone will be produced in lesser quantity, and that condition we will call it as hypothyroidism. And here, children, suppose sometimes this autoimmune diseases and all, here immunity, actually our immune system itself can actually cause this type of diseases, and you need not study the reason and at all. I am just telling you that terms. You have to understand the terms. The first one you have to understand is, children, the hypothyroidism. Hypo means less. Hypothyroidism means, here children, if less thyroxine. Thyroidism is the condition here. Less thyroxine is produced by the thyroid gland. You remember, children, when we study about the pituitary gland, you studied about this thyroid stimulating hormone. This thyroid stimulating hormone, that is a hormone produced by our pituitary gland. TSH, you remember, thyroid stimulating hormone. You know what is the function of this TSH? Whenever there is less production of thyroxine. Here you need note this, actually we have studied about goiter and all, that is different part. Now we are studying about under secretion of thyroxine as well as over secretion of thyroxine. And sometimes due to any reason, what happens, children, like I already told you one reason under autoimmune diseases and all, there will be less production of the thyroxine by the thyroid gland, and this condition we can call it as the hypothyroidism. And hypothyroidism, what happens is, children, there will be less production of the thyroxine by the thyroid gland. So pituitary, we know, that is the master gland of the endocrine system. Pituitary controls the secretion of all other endocrine glands. So pituitary controls the thyroid gland also. So whenever there is less production of thyroxine, pituitary gland secretes thyroid stimulating hormone. This thyroid stimulating hormone is secreted in more amounts, and it is a thyroid stimulating hormone. It induces the thyroid gland to secrete, to produce more thyroxine hormone. Okay, children, hypothyroidism, so many people, it's a very common, especially in females and all, about 35 years of age, and so many people suffer from hypothyroidism, less production of thyroxine. And so what happens is, children, whenever they go for a blood test, their TSH level will be high. TSH level high means that shows the thyroxine production by the thyroid hormone is less. Got it, children? So TSH and so we have to take this. This actually thyroid is a supplement that actually this thyroxine hormone, that supplement should be taken regularly. So that is the case of hypothyroidism. So here what you have to remember is that term only. Hypothyroidism means the less secretion of the thyroxine by the thyroid gland due to any reason. We will call it as the hypothyroidism. Then there will be less thyroxine produced by our this body thyroid gland. Then what happens, children? The TSH level will be high, because in order to produce more thyroxine, pituitary gland produce more TSH hormone. Okay, next term you have to understand is, children, here next term you have to understand is the over secretion of this thyroxine hormone. That is also result in so many abnormalities in our body. Our this breathing rate increases, heartbeat increases, and also metabolic rate will be higher. We lose our weight, and also this is hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism. So you have to understand this thyroidism. Two terms. You have to hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. Hyperthyroidism means over secretion of the thyroxine by the thyroid gland. But hypothyroidism means under secretion of the thyroxine by the thyroid gland. And here these two terms. So hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism terms only you have to keep in mind. For examination point of view, what you have to understand, children, for examination point of view, what you have to understand clearly is thyroid gland secretes the hormone thyroxine. This for the production of thyroxine, iodine is required. Whenever there is deficient intake of this iodine, there will be less production of thyroxine, and that can result in enlargement of the thyroid gland, and as a result swelling in the neck region. That condition is called goiter, and as it is caused by the deficiency of iodine, we can actually take in this supplement with our food with so many iodine rich this food like this leafy vegetables, seafood, iodized salt, etc. All these points you have to keep in mind. And then thyroxine, the function is metabolism of carbohydrate, fats and proteins. The other hormone calcitonin reduces the blood calcium level. Okay, that only you have to remember. It reduces the level of calcium in the blood. Now we will move on to the next type of hormone, that is parathyroid. These glands, you must understand, children, parathyroid glands are small glands. About 4 glands are there. These small glands, they are about 4 small glands, parathyroid glands. These parathyroid glands are small glands. They are 4 in number, located in the dorsal region of this thyroid gland. That is the dorsal region of this thyroid gland. We can see these parathyroid glands. 4 parathyroid glands are there. Here parathyroid, what you have to understand is, it secretes a hormone called parathermone. The hormone secreted is parathermone. The function of the parathermone you have to understand, children. The hormone secreted is parathermone, and the function of this hormone is to control the level of calcium and phosphorus in our blood. Calcium level as well as phosphorus level should be controlled in our blood. That is the function of this for children, the parathermone hormone. So phosphorus level as well as the calcium level should be maintained in the blood. Here what happens is, we have seen calcitonin reduces the calcium level in the blood. This parathermone increases, the opposite function is done by parathermone. It increases the calcium level in the blood. So here children, you have to understand this parathermone increases the blood calcium level, and also it decreases the phosphorus level in the blood. So here the parathermone, what does it do is, calcitonin, first you have to study about one hormone clearly. Calcitonin reduces the calcium level. So parathermone does the other action. Parathermone increases the calcium level in the blood and it also decreases the phosphorus level in the blood, so is to keep a balance of these ions in the body. So all the ions should be present in adequate quantities in the blood. That's very, very important. That is done with the help of this parathermone as well as this calcitonin. So parathermone increases the calcium level in the blood and reduces the phosphorus level in the blood. So that is the case of here, children. Parathyroid glands, 4 small glands located on the dorsal side. Dorsal side means these are dorsal and ventral side. This is actually my ventral side is my chest region. My dorsal side is my back. So located at the dorsal side of the thyroid gland, 4 parathyroid glands are there. They produce parathermone. Increases the calcium level and decreases the phosphorus level in the blood. Now we'll move on to the next gland. That is what is called thymus gland. We will see what is the function of this thymus gland, children. The thymus gland, the location we will see first. It is located in the chest region. You know, children, in our chest region there is a chest bone called sternum. Sternum is otherwise known as chest bone. So location location and all I am just telling you only. You have to study the functions. So it is located behind the sternum. Behind the sternum, or sternum is otherwise known as breastbone. So here, children, you must understand thymus gland is located behind our sternum or chest bone. Sternum is otherwise known as chest bone and between the lungs. Okay, and between the lungs. So here, children, you have to understand this thymus gland is located behind the sternum and between the lungs. And here thymus gland, actually this gland is very active during the childhood. By the time a person reaches adolescence, this gland actually shrinks. So it is more active in childhood. And we will see the function of the thymus gland. Thymus gland secretes a hormone called thymosin. The hormone secreted by the thymus gland is thymosin, and the thymosin, its function is provide immunity to our body. You know, children, that help in providing resistance against infections, invading bacteria, diseases, etc. That is the function of this thymosin hormone. Thymosin hormone, it helps in the production of certain special type of cells. These special type of cells are called T lymphocytes. We can call them as T lymphocytes. Actually, all these are additional points. What you are to study is thymosin hormone is the hormone secreted by the thymus gland. It helps in providing immunity to our body, or it strengthens the immune system. So here thymosin hormone secreted by the thymus gland, that helps in the production of T lymphocytes. That is a type of WBCs. These T lymphocytes are a type of WBCs or white blood corpuscles, and they help in fighting against bacteria, these viruses, etc., and provide immunity to our body. Especially in the case of these infections, and in the case of any these carcinogen, cancer causing cells and all, or substances and all, what happens, these T lymphocytes actually invade them, fight against them and destroy them and provide immunity to our body. So this thymosin helps in the production of special type of WBCs called T lymphocytes. So for your information, you have to understand thymus gland located in the chest region behind the sternum or chest bone, behind the sternum or chest bone, and then what happens, children, it is situated behind the chest bone and between the lungs. And the thymus gland is more active during childhood, it shrinks by the adolescence, and then the hormone produces thymosin, and thymosin helps in providing immunity to our body by the production of certain specialized type of WPCs called T lymphocytes. Okay, that is the case of the thymus gland. Now we will move on to the next gland. Here children, the next gland is pancreas. Pancreas, I hope you are familiar with the pancreas. Pancreas we are very much familiar because already you studied about the pancreas in the life processes. Okay, in the digestive system, pancreas has a very important role. Pancreas is very special in the sense it serves an exocrine and endocrine function. That means it acts as both an exocrine gland and an endocrine gland. Here pancreas, it serves a dual purpose. Dual purpose means it functions as an exocrine gland as well as an endocrine gland. Exocrine function I will tell you now. You remember children, in the case of this pancreas, it produces the pancreatic juice. This juice is carried by the pancreatic duct to the small intestine, pancreatic juice. And this pancreatic juice contains the enzymes. I am making you recall what you studied in the last lesson. Pancreatic amylase, it acts on starch or carbohydrate in the food. Okay, it actually helps in the digestion or breaking down of carbohydrate. Pancreatic amylase. Lipase, pancreatic lipase, it helps in the digestion of fat inside the small intestine. And also lipase is there, that actually this lipase help in digestion of fat. And also trypsin, you know children, trypsin you remember. Trypsin is the hormone, trypsin is the enzyme that is helpful in the digestion of the protein in our food in the small intestine. So here children, pancreas produces pancreatic juice that contains various enzymes, trypsin, pancreatic amylase, lipase, etc. that help in the digestion of the nutrients in the small intestine. That is the exocrine function of the pancreas, because the pancreatic juice produced by the pancreas, it is carried by the pancreatic duct to the small intestine. So here it functions as an exocrine gland. But here we are discussing about the endocrine function of this pancreas. Very interesting children. This pancreas we will see how does it acts as an endocrine gland. Here that is very interesting. The endocrine pancreas contains special type of cells called islets of Langerhans. You must understand the collective name for groups of cells found in the pancreas, we will call them as islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. These islets of Langerhans, you have to understand children, these are the type of the cells found in the islets. I-S-L-E-T-S. I-S-L-E-T-S. Islets of Langerhans are the groups of cells found in the pancreas. And these islets of Langerhans secrete they contain two type of cells. The two type of cells we will call two type of cells. Actually three type of cells are there, but we have to study and focus on two type of cells only. Beta cells as well as the alpha cells. So here children, you must understand the islets of Langerhans are this group of cells found in the pancreas, and these beta cells and the alpha cells are there. These beta cells produce the hormone. That hormone we will call it as the insulin. The hormone produced by the beta cells, islets of Langerhans only, for your information only I told you. You have to remember the beta cells found in the pancreas, present in the pancreas, secretes the hormone insulin, produce the hormone insulin, and alpha cells produce the hormone glucagon. So you have to understand two hormones are there. Insulin produced by the beta cells and glucagon produced by the alpha cells. So islets of Langerhans are group of cells. Collectively they are known as these islets of Langerhans. They contain different type beta cells are there. Beta cells are the most abundant of these islets of Langerhans. And then alpha cells are there, delta cells are there. So you have to understand, children, the insulin, we will see the functions of insulin. And insulin, you know, children, whenever our sugar level or glucose level increases. So in a normal human being, what happens is, whenever the glucose level in our blood increases, the information is passed to the pancreas, and as a result, the beta cells produce the insulin. This insulin converts the excess glucose found in or present in our blood to glycogen. Excess glucose is converted to glycogen, and this glycogen is stored in the muscles, liver, etc. So you must understand, whenever the glucose level increases than the normal level in this normal human being, that means he is not diabetic, he is actually, his body functions are going on in a balanced way. Here the beta cells are stimulated, and beta cells produce the hormone insulin. Insulin converts the excess glucose in the blood to glycogen and stored in the muscles and liver. Stored in the muscles and liver. Okay, children, you remember when you study the first lesson, we have studied the internal energy reserve in animals is glycogen. Excess this glucose is stored in the form of glycogen in the case of the animals. Here also, this is how it is stored. Excess glucose is converted to glycogen and it is stored in the liver and muscles. Okay, children, and the glucose level is maintained to normal. Then what happens is, children, there is another condition also. Okay, sometimes the glucose level this lowers due to any reason. If another person don't take food properly and the glucose level lowers, hypoglycemia, that condition hypoglycemia. So what happens is, children, the alpha cells of the pancreas are stimulated and alpha cells produce the hormone. That hormone is what is known as the glucagon. The glucagon hormone, it converts or break down the glycogen stored in the liver and muscles. The glycogen, it is converted into glucose. It is broken down to form glucose and it is released into our bloodstream. So this is how the insulin produced by beta cells and glucagon produced by the alpha cells help in maintaining the blood glucose level. That is the normal condition in the case of a healthy human being. So what happens, children? Pancreas, now we are talking about the endocrine function of the pancreas. Pancreas contains groups of cells, islets of Langerhans, and they contains the beta cells and alpha cells. The beta cells produce the hormone insulin, alpha cells produce glucagon. Suppose our blood glucose level is higher than the normal, what happens is the beta cells will be stimulated. Okay. So here, children, beta cells will be stimulated, and here the beta cells produce insulin. Insulin, this converts the excess glucose to glycogen and stored in the liver and muscles. So the glucose level is maintained normal. And suppose it is the reverse condition. You know what happens? Alpha cells of the pancreas are stimulated, and here alpha cells produce glucagon hormone. It converts this stored glycogen in the liver, muscles, etc. It is converted into glucose, and so this glucose is actually this added to the blood, released into the blood. So the glucose level in the blood is maintained as normal. So these these hormones, their actions are opposite, isn't it? Their actions, actually, insulin decreases the high glucose level to normal, but glucagon, actually, if the level of glucose is low, it increases it to normal level. So this type of this action, if they are opposite in action, we can say they are antagonistic. Their actions are antagonistic. So you have to understand, children, here these are antagonistic. Both this insulin and glucagon, their actions are opposite to each other. So we can say they are antagonistic in action, So that is the case of here, children, the function of this insulin and glucagon. Now we'll see what is diabetes mellitus. That's very interesting, children. Diabetes mellitus, you might have heard of people suffering from diabetes. How does it happen? So in normal people, whenever glucose level rises, the insulin will be produced by the beta cells. Insulin controls the blood glucose level to normal. But due to any reason, if our pancreas become dysfunctional, what happens, children? Beta cells do not produce enough insulin. So insulin secretion will be less by the beta cells. They do not produce enough insulin. So insulin will be less and they don't produce enough insulin. So what happens, children? Only if there is insulin produced in sufficient quantity, insulin can convert the excess glucose to glycogen and store it in the liver, muscles, etc. So if due to any reason our pancreas become dysfunctional, insulin won't be produced in sufficient amount, there will be deficiency of insulin. So what happens, children? The glucose level will be in the blood will be high. So this high glucose level in the blood, we will call it as this diabetes mellitus. That condition is called diabetes mellitus. So the excess glucose in the blood, we can call it as the diabetes mellitus, and this excess glucose can be excreted through the urine also. So when you do for a blood test, you can understand, you can diagnose if you are suffering from this diabetes or not, children. So here pancreas will be dysfunctional, there won't be enough production of this insulin by the beta cells. So deficiency of insulin, that can result in high glucose level that can be excreted through urine also. This condition is called diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus, actually, if it is a mild diabetic, and this type of people we can call diabetic. Diabetes, so many people are diabetic, isn't it? If it is mild diabetic, and we can this actually take any medicine and a regular exercise and also diet control can actually this control the glucose level to normal. But if it's severe diabetic, and the patients actually this blood glucose level is very high, he should be given insulin injections. Okay, insulin should be this injected to the body of the actually artificially produced insulin, and that insulin will be injected into the body of diabetic patients if they are actually that means severe diabetic, and these patients should be treated by giving insulin injection. So you know what happens? Insulin injection, insulin actually reaches the blood level, and insulin converts the excess glucose to glycogen stored in the muscles and keep our blood glucose level to normal. So that's the case of this diabetes mellitus. And so the diabetic patients, they can be treated by giving insulin injections, and I have given you questions based on all these topics. And next for this 3 more glands, actually we have to study adrenal glands and ovary and testes. We'll be discussing in the next class. I have actually sent you notes. Today you will get the notes. All children can please copy the notes, go through the notes. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, and please go through the textbook, notebook, and get ready with our doubts in the next class. And thanks a lot for listening. Thank you, children.